up, shine on and be bright. You know I love the path that lights the darkest. Light up, shine on, be bright. 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 Oh, light up, shine on, be bright. 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 Light up, shine on, be bright.
Oh, Viviane, that was so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
While I concentrate here for a moment to get my screen share on, and there it is. Okay, wonderful. Good morning, everybody. And it is such a joy and pleasure this morning to be in British Columbia. And what I'm sharing with you today is just a celebration of lighting up, being at play, bringing the lighter side of life, finding it, celebrating it. And I really hope that you go home today with a real commitment to take yourself less seriously and your play a little more seriously in some ways. Sawubona, I see you. That's a Zulu greeting. And it's kind of like Namaste in that it's that bigger part of me that's greeting the bigger part of you. That's heart to heart, mind to mind, soul to soul connection. And the response to that is Yabo Sawubona. And if you just want to echo that back to me, if it resonates with you, Yabo Sawubona, I see you seeing me. And that just creates the completion of the circuit that is the commitment that to come together to co-create this time rich and meaningful. And as was already mentioned, the theme for 2020 is perfect vision at Unity, seeing through everything through a spiritual lens. And for the month of July, what we're looking at through that spiritual lens is play. Playing in the zone, free and unrestrained. Who is it I've come here to be, and how do I have fun being it? And we're going to talk about the serious business of play here. So what is play? And play is, by definition, a whole lot of different things. There are any number of different definitions of play, and we'll play with some of them in the next few minutes. Some of the benefits of play include everything from helping goal setting and self-expression and learning to develop and follow rules and learn social interaction and flexibility and agility and conflict resolution and strength and coordination and physical activity. It's like all of the physical things that come with activity, and cooperation, collaboration, negotiation, empathy, communication, problem solving, teamwork, creativity, just a whole raft of benefits and skills that come from play. And while this is well documented when it comes to the importance of play for children, we tend to brush over it for ourselves for some reason. As you know, I'll play when I get my work done. And that good old Protestant work ethic has really drilled that into a lot of us. Companies, particularly large companies that have money for training and so forth, recognize the value of having their people in a good space. They recognize that for innovation and creativity and teamwork and coming together as a team, that play is very valuable. It improves morale, it improves engagement, increases productivity. But what and if this wasn't true, they wouldn't spend billions of dollars on it, on consultants for coming in to play with their teams. But what they've discovered is that to make play work, you can't make it work. So you can't go into play with metrics and objectives and goals, and it has to look this way. You also can't, on the other end of it, turn it into a free-for-all, or everybody plays and no work gets done. There's some balance between hitching your unicorn to the plow and traveling with your unicorn to get the vision, and then come back and allow the plow horse to do the work, but with the vision and joy of the unicorn. A beautiful soul by the name of Gary Diggins. He's a musician and therapist and consultant. Has done incredible work with companies in this regard for that, creating teamwork and innovation and vision and so forth. And one of the things he talks about is that play needs a balance of freedom and boundaries. And how do you tap into that magic and make it work for you without choking it? Neat trick. The magic of play in relationships. And again, Gary is a brilliant example of this, and he does a lot of his work with playing with music. And not playing with music where you need to be a musician and create beautiful music like we've just been listening to, but playing music, just toning and practicing listening to one another and hearing one another in beat or tone or drum or vocal sounds. Again, not necessarily with intent towards harmony or anything. And in playing together this way, we can connect with others. And over again, it's been shown that we fall in love with our partners all over again, most often when we see one another at play, or when we come together in play. And so finding those ways of playing together, to listen deeper to one another, to connect with one another, is so enriching for our lives. And how do we tap into that magic of play? It's really hidden in principle number 3 of Unity Principles, the law of mind action. We know that the law of mind action speaks to the energy that radiates out from that heart-mind connection, that through our thoughts and our feelings, we radiate out a frequency that draws to us or resonates with us the frequencies that we are living into, that it is creating our world around us and creating our experience. It's really like tuning into a radio dial to get the frequency that you're literally tuning into. So just like in a radio, if you tune into the country station, you're not going to get classical music. And if you tune into the classical station, you're not going to get country music. And likewise, when we're radiating a frequency of love, joy, appreciation, a high frequency, that will be what reflects back to us. And the better we get at that, the less contrast we'll notice in our lives. And when things do show up that don't look like what we would prefer them to be, we find the blessing in it. We find the lemonade in the lemon, so to speak. And happiness often sneaks in through a door that you didn't know you left open. And this is where play comes in, because play tends to be at a high frequency. We're doing the things we love, and we're loving the things we do. And it's not about accomplishment or achievement. It's about doing and being for the joy and love and laughter and bliss and delight of being and doing, just for its own sake. And when we're in that kind of space and practice that kind of space as a spiritual practice, practicing play as a spiritual practice, it's amazing where joy turns up. It's amazing where love can turn up. Play leaves those doors open for happiness to sneak in when you weren't expecting it. And that's really what play as a spiritual practice is all about. Angels fly because they take themselves lightly. We can get so hung up on our story and our drama and our shoulds and our shouldn'ts and our not good enoughs and our better thans and our goals and our all those sorts of things. We can start taking things way too seriously. And life has a wonderful way of calling us back to laughter, calling us back to love, especially if we've been practicing play as a spiritual practice, as that connecting to God. You know, don't sweat the small stuff, and P.S. it's all small stuff. It's really remembering that, you know, speaking to principle number 2, that unity principle number 2, where we are a divine spark of the one great wholeness, which is principle number 1. And as that spark, we are always bigger than everything that is happening around us, regardless of the appearance of it. And when we can remember that, then we have the tools to manage through it, manage around it, manage over it, manage under it, in ways that are a lot lighter and easier than we might have otherwise thought possible. So the magic of the spiritual practice of play is chore no more. I don't know if any of you have seen the commercial. I think it's a Pine Sol commercial, a cleaner commercial of some sort, where the fellow is doing his cleaning his way. And when you have a chore that you're not really into, if you can take the time, a timeout, and not do anything from a negative space, when we recognize that the principle 3 never takes a break, that our magic wand of creation is perpetually running, it doesn't take time off. When we force ourselves to do something, you know, grin and bear it and tough it out and be miserable, but just do it anyway, when we take that attitude, that frequency that we're radiating out is creating our next moment. That is the frequency that is creating our next time, which is why so often things that we work so hard for and are miserable about when we're doing them, the joy in the completion is extremely small or extremely short-lived, or just isn't there. That somehow, you know, it didn't feel as good to get it as I thought it would. Well, that's because you were miserable the whole time you were doing it. It's like remembering that and seeing it laid out in the principles like that, it's kind of obvious. But when we're living it, you know, culture teaches us to tough it out and just do it and suck it up, buttercup, get on with it. And it's like, if we actually take the time out to reset ourselves and bring our frequency up so that we can do it with love, or do it with anticipation, or do it with some form of higher frequency, it just changes everything. So when we make it fun, we get it done. And so often when we take the time to do that reframing or any number of other things that we can do to lift our frequency, all of a sudden it's easier to tackle and take on, and it goes a lot quicker and easier than we ever thought possible. So ways of actually doing that, we can reframe it. By reframing it, how do we reframe it? Okay, we can call in any number of our 12 powers, the Unity 12 powers, strength, order, understanding, wisdom, imagination, using our imagination to see it differently, to imagine it differently, imagining spirit meeting us in the task and carrying us through it, imagining it going way easier than we ever thought it could. Imagine feeling the strength of God flowing through us to take it on as a challenge, as an adventure. Any of the 12 powers can be called in to help us reframe the task that is before us. We can set ourselves up with a reward. You know, you're making the rules of the game. Make the rules so you can win. So often and I'll own it, I make the rules, you know, so that I lose. You know, I need to get this done, and I need to get that done, and I need to get the other thing done. And if I'm doing this, then I'm feeling bad that I'm not doing this or this, or I'm feeling that I should, portal to hell, as Martha Creek would say. When you should on yourself or other people, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting up a no-win game. Whereas if you create a win-win situation, so that, you know, I get this much done and I win, I get something else done, I also win. Whoops, I apologize. And how does it shut off? Where did that come from? Sorry about that. I win. We're reminded to pay attention to where we're at. And the competition, we can set up competition, you know, having competition with another person, so that, you know, my sister and I, we've got each have a task that we don't want to get on. Somehow it's easier or better or not as bad if we take it on as a competition and turn it into a fun game. Collaboration, working together, having a partner or having a friend working on something, it always goes faster and easier and better, or almost always, depends on the task. We can break it down into little pieces. We can also take a break from it and step away. And that stepping away just long enough to become present and call in the presence of spirit, call in our higher self, to reframe it and do something different. Go get maybe it's a bite to eat or something to drink that you need. So honoring ourselves and just making a point of doing things from a good space. Play, fun for the sake of fun, and all the byproducts of that, those are the creativity and the self-mastery and the getting to know yourself, and, you know, discovering where your bliss is and what your bliss is. Independent thinking, joy, love, exploring, developing the inquisitive mind and the tools for that, the curiosity. Play raises our frequency. Going back to that principle number 3, it's also a form of self-care that is well worth giving priority to. So often, if our schedule, the first thing that we bump is the thing that we're doing for fun so that we can get important stuff done. Looking at play as important is a huge shift towards well-being. The body heals with play, the mind heals with laughter, and the spirit heals with joy. We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. A quote from George Bernard Shaw. And there's something that I need to tell you, something your pen really wants to tell you. Pens love to play. So do pencils, so do pencil crayons, so does paint. They love to play. And they would love it if you took them off their shelf or out of their drawer and played with them. The adults need to play every bit as much as children need to play. And you can find that zone of bliss that you find in meditation. You can do Zentangling. If you don't know what that is, the top picture here is an example. You can Google it and find all kinds of examples. It's a form of structured doodling that is very conducive to meditation. Likewise, coloring or playing with words. If words and pens and paper aren't your thing, you go shoot hoops. Go dance in the rain. Dance where nobody's watching. What is it? Dance as if your toaster's not watching or something like that. Or go out bike riding. Whatever is your joy, whatever is your play, just make sure you make time for it. And play your way. If you haven't jumped in a mud puddle lately, I highly encourage it. If you haven't played with your food lately, I highly encourage it. If you haven't played with your pet lately, I highly encourage it. Just whatever is your joy, do it. And that can take so many different forms. Whether it's clowning around, the or whether it's throwing snowballs, the unexpected little thing that comes up in the moment, or whether it's, you know, some wonderful adventure that you've taken 2 years to plan. Whatever inspiration strikes, you know, jump on it and make the most of it. This is how we connect to our creative source energy. Think about it: creator, creation, creativity. When we tap into our creativity, we are tapping into the divine within us. And no matter what form of play we choose to do that, it makes access to it from other directions a whole lot easier. A lack of play should be treated like malnutrition. It's a health risk to your body and your mind. Just make sure you get enough play, especially in times like this, in transition. Things are way too big and important right now to take them too seriously. That lighten up, and that's not only lightening up from a perspective of raising consciousness and lifting up, uplifting, and it's also brightening up. Lighten up, make play a part of your day. And that's that way to fly, that way to uplift, that way to brighten. Because that's the frequency and energy that we're creating our next moment with. Ever so important. And so much easier to do it from the space of play than from trying to reframe some of those deeper, bigger things that look so dark. So I invite you now to integrate some of these thoughts and find the nugget in there for you. So I just invite you now into meditation. You take a few minutes right now to integrate. I invite you to relax into your chair, breathe into your heart, release any tension or worries or concerns on the exhalation. Draw on the in-breath the essence of lightness, lightheartedness. Exhaling and releasing anything that no longer serves. Drawing in that which you need for nourishment. Acknowledging the one power and one presence of which we are each an expression. Feel into the love and the security, the safety of your own heart. That connection to your higher self. As you continue to breathe into your heart, allow to come to heart and mind a time when you were caught up in delight, caught up in fun, the flow and bliss, the excitement, the joy, the enthusiasm. And gently intensify that feeling of the memory. I invite you to do this now. As you allow a memory to come to mind. And if you can't come up with one of your own, borrow one. You've seen someone at play. You've seen someone joyous. If that someone was you, great. Use that example. It's so personal. Gently intensify the feeling of the memory. When the feeling is strong, gently allow the memory to fade while keeping the feeling. And again, allow that feeling to grow and fill you. Allow the wellspring from within your heart to flow into that feeling, intensifying it, brightening it, lightening it, uplifting it. Allow that feeling to radiate out from you to bless the world. Imagine that energy meeting resonant energy from other channels and other sources. Imagining joining forces with it. coming together in greater play, greater fun. Imagining that lightening and brightening, radiating out to brighten even the darkest spaces with compassion, with acceptance, with love. Feel into that experience and invite spirit by whatever name you know, God, universe, higher self. Invite it to show you more. Giving thanks to all the playmates out there, all those radiating that joy, love, laughter, fun, jokes, games, playfulness. Giving thanks to them, acknowledging them, knowing that you can come back and play with them in this way at any time. Celebrating in love and appreciation for the opportunity to come together in this way. Give thanks and return to the now, space and time. Feeling your chair, feeling your body lighter and brighter. Wiggling your fingers and toes, maybe wiggle your nose. In loving gratitude. Amen. Thank you. And thank you so much, Viviane, for that beautiful music.
Oh, you're very welcome. I wrote a song and it's called Alive in Love. However, in honor of that beautiful talk today, Sheila, I thought I would change the lyrics to Alive in Play. If I listen to the pattern of my heart, it beats a rhythm of a life that love has given all for me. In the stillness of this moment, there's a quiet. I remember every thought that I am thinking comes to be. Alive in play, and it's amazing. Alive in play, a new beginning. At my sunrise of surrender, I'm alive, alive in play. Now my soul's a magnifier of love's passionate desire, captivating, fascinating, in the flash of here and now, while the time revolves in meaning, circles dancing, spirit dreaming, as my visions count the blessings of a life alive in love. Alive in play, and it's amazing. Alive in play, a new beginning. At my sunrise of surrender, I'm alive. Alive in play, and it's amazing. Alive in play, a new beginning. At my sunrise of surrender, I'm alive, alive in play. I'm alive in play. I'm coloring, I'm alive in play. I'm gonna dance alive in play. Sing a song so joyfully, alive in play. I'm alive in play. Alive in play.